only going to be going live today on this page and also on my business page on Facebook, Marianne Hanson Counselling Service. You can also find my other videos, but they're going to be recorded videos on my Instagram, and I've uploaded a video today as well on my TikTok. I'll leave in the descriptions where you can find me on those platforms. So this is going to be not too long. I'll try to, it varies. Do you know what? I'm trying to just do topics which I know that people have either said they want to hear me doing a topic about, or if it's something that I know affects lots of the clients that I work with. So this one is called 5 Reasons That You Don't Feel Good Enough. So many of the clients I work with, not only in my coaching but also in my counselling, this comes up a lot for people. And the feeling when you feel that you're not good enough, there's always roots or origins to why you feel that way, but it doesn't mean you have to continue to feel like that. The good thing about this particular topic, but with anything really that I speak about, is that you can change the way you feel by changing the way you think about that situation and by just acting differently. That's with anything in life really. If you want something to change, you have to take action. You have to do something differently, you have to think something differently, and you have to feel differently about the situation. So one of the reasons a lot of people don't feel good enough is because they make too many comparisons to other people. So the minute you compare yourself to another person, you're not accepting yourself, you're not recognizing that everyone's unique, and also you're attaching meaning to their life, which you don't even know if it's true. So people are going on social media, or they're even seeing people in real life. So they'll see a couple laughing and they'll think, oh, my relationship isn't like that. Why can't I have a relationship where we're always laughing? You don't know what happens after that 20 seconds that you see them together. Same as with celebrities. The amount of celebrities we see, on the red carpet, we see them in fancy cars and houses. You don't know what happens behind closed doors. You don't know what they're doing to get to where they've got to. You don't know how long it's taken them to get there. So comparing yourself to someone else is just, there's no point to it, because you can either say to yourself, thanks for joining, whoever joins, feel free to leave comments. You can either say to yourself, I'm inspired by what that person has, or I'm motivated by what they're doing, so I'm going to do something similar. Not copying them, but because you're inspired by it. Or you can say, that's their journey, that's what they want to do, I'm going on my journey. But there is just no point in comparing yourself to another person, because everyone's got their own life to live. So that is something which makes you feel not good enough. So the solution to that, and thank you to people who are joining, is to just accept yourself for who you are. Thanks, Hi Fitness and World, thanks for joining. And to just stop attaching meaning to everything. Stop saying, because this person has this, then they're the better person. Because this person has got this far in their life, where they are at this particular age. People keep putting these deadline dates, by this age I should have this. By this, I must have all the must and the shoulds and all that sort of thing. I won't talk about that too much, because that's a whole different, video. So that's the first thing. The second reason people don't feel good enough, this is a big one, and this is quite obviously known, is childhood trauma and the constant messages that you've heard about yourself from people who, cared for you, but also messages you've been told that you believe. This is probably the biggest one, that why people don't feel good enough. So these messages can either have been given by people who cared for you when you were a child, but they can also be when you're an adult and you've been in a relationship and you've been told messages. It could be from teachers, it could be from anyone, but the point is, thanks for the comments, it's not just that you've heard these messages, it's the fact that you've absorbed these messages. That's the biggest thing. Because if you are someone who absorbs what other people say, then if that person is telling you lots of negative things, then obviously you're going to hold on to that, and then you're not going to feel good enough. Now, it's the other reverse thing as well, is it's better just not to absorb any messages that people are telling you, to be fair, because if you only absorb the good stuff, then when you hear the bad stuff, you'll believe that as well. So the best thing to do is to just get into a situation where if something doesn't feel true to you, or if you don't feel that that message that you're hearing is of benefit to you, they used to say this when I was doing my counselling course. The tutor used to say, if this doesn't fit with you, they said, let it flow over you. You don't have to absorb it. But if you keep absorbing negative information, negative messages, especially your parents might have told you you're not going to amount to something. The person you're in a relationship with might say, the reason you're single is because this, oh, now I know why you're single, you know, or someone close to you or a friend might say, you're difficult. People will use lots of labels. You're hard work. I've heard that a lot, not to me, but people probably think it about me as well. But I've heard that a lot when people put labels on people. This person's hard work. You're hard to live with. You're a difficult person. This comes up a lot for social workers as well, and teachers. They'll say that's a difficult child or a challenging. I don't use that sort of language, and I never have. Even when I was working in residential as a social worker, I heard other staff would say things like, watch out for him, he's a difficult one, or watch out for her, she's got a mouth on her, and this sort of thing. And I thought, no, I'm not going to use that sort of like labelling or that sort of language towards children. So people will absorb it, and that's why they won't feel good enough, because if that label then sticks with that person throughout their life, I'm trouble. And then people in relationships, even adults, will say things then to their partners. They'll say, oh, stay away from me, I'm trouble, or I'm no good, or you know, I'm going to hurt you, or I've been told my whole life that I'm toxic, or whatever it is. So they're absorbing it, and that's why they don't feel good enough. But the point is, you can work on it. You can, not only with a counsellor, but also with yourself, really. You can work on these labels, and you can make a decision that you're not going to absorb them. You're going to take the labels off. So the third reason that people don't feel good enough, and thanks you for the comment, except all these comments is from the same person. Yeah, hi, no, thanks for joining the live stream, is because you hold shame, or you have negative thoughts about one or more aspects of who you are. So that would include your identity, your sexuality, your ethnicity, your status. You can't feel good if you don't believe that if you're not integrated. And I think I talked about this in another one of my live streams, this idea of being an integrated person. And what that really means is that all aspects of who you are, you don't reject any of those aspects. Because you can't feel good if you don't feel good as a woman. You can't feel good if you don't embrace your identity. You can't feel good enough if you don't feel good about your sexuality or your status in life. So that makes a lot of people feel like they're not good enough, because they're usually comparing to another person. So they might say, the person who doesn't work is going to compare themselves to someone who does work, and then they're not going to feel good enough. They're going to feel inferior to them. The person who is one ethnicity is comparing themselves to another ethnicity, so they feel it's this inferior superior thing. You can't, if you feel inferior, that's coming from you, because the person who feels superior can't make you feel inferior. That's what you have to realise. It's you making that decision yourself. So, okay, hi, Baljeet, thanks for joining. So if you start to embrace all aspects of who you are, if you started to say, no, I'm not going to reject any part of me, I'm not going to feel shame about anything, who I am, I'm not going to reject or try to kind of hide any aspect of who you are, then you would feel good enough, because the point would be that no one else would be able to, thanks, Baljeet. So no one else would be able to use those things against you, if you like. It's like when people will make comments about, I don't know, women, or they'll make comments about certain cultures or this sort of thing. You're only going to get you're only going to react to that in a negative way, or you're only going to be sensitive about that if there's some shame there or there's some embarrassment there. Because if you feel good about those things, then why would you care what someone else thinks? It would brush off your shoulder, because you'd say, well, that doesn't apply to me because that's not who I am. It's like the amount of like discussions on Facebook especially, but also on YouTube, when people are all getting defensive and defending themselves and talking about like their standpoint and stuff. And sometimes I'll read through comments and I'll just sit back and observe, because I used to probably be one of those people that would get involved thinking, I've got to defend women, and I've got to defend black issues, and I've got to defend this, and I've got to defend, therapists, and I've got to do, and it's not your job to do any of that. If people think those things, then they're allowed to think that stuff, so the key thing is what you think. If you hold shame about parts of yourself, thanks Baljit, if you hold, if you're not confident within who you are as a person, then you're not going to feel good enough, because you're just going to listen to all the people that are saying that you're not good enough. So that's one thing. I didn't bring social media into it because and the news, because that's another thing in itself. The media constructs as well lots of ways to make certain people feel that they're not good enough, but then you don't have to buy into that. That's a separate thing, but I didn't put that on here. So the next one is, this is a big one as well that comes up for people. Another reason you don't feel good enough is because you don't allow yourself to make mistakes. You're a perfectionist. So perfectionists are people who, thank you, Fitness World. So perfectionists are people who operate from a place of not being able to make a mistake, because to them making a mistake is the worst thing they can do, because they attribute that towards them not being good enough. So a good example with someone who's a perfectionist is they will normally not do something if they know they're going to fail at it, or if there's a possibility that they're not going to maybe get the job, they won't go to the interview, that if they're not going to get the audition, they won't go. And the worst thing about it is they're missing out on so much in life because of the fact that they're thinking, I'd rather not take that chance than take that chance and then fail at it, because if I fail, then that will mean something about myself. So most perfectionists are not, they're kind of, the reason they don't feel good enough is because they're constantly trying to reach a target which they can never reach. And deep down, they know they can't reach it because there's no such thing as perfection. Perfection doesn't exist, but the perfectionist can't see that. So even when I've worked with perfectionists over the years, and we've tried to look at, well, what if you tried this angle, or what if you tried that? To them, it's almost like saying, well, no, I need to be able to guarantee, unless I can guarantee something, then I'm not going to do it. But the problem is you can't guarantee certain things. So then they're stuck in this cycle. So if you say to yourself that you are allowed to make mistakes, but even if you say more than that, that you will make mistakes in life, then it releases some of that pressure for perfection, because really and truly, there's no way you can go through life without failing at something. It's impossible. So if you then link that with not feeling good enough, you're setting yourself up to fail, because it's got nothing to do with you not being good enough. It's more to do with you trying to achieve a certain goal that you're never going to reach. And then when you don't reach that goal, telling yourself you're not reaching it because it's you, and it's not you, it's because the goal is not feasible, it's not achievable. So that's the fourth reason. So the fifth reason, and this is the final one, is that you neglect personal development, you neglect self-care and self-love strategies. So there's too many, I don't want to just repeat the things that people say about self-love, all this stuff about you have to love yourself first before you love another person. It's all true stuff, but you've probably heard it all before. But the point is, you can't go out there into the world and, be the best version of yourself if you don't love yourself first. You can't go out there and be in a relationship if you don't have like self-love and self-respect, self-acceptance for yourself. So a lot of times people are not feeling good enough because they haven't spent the time working on themselves. They haven't spent the time, you know, taking care of who they are. You know, for me, and this is just, I mean, I was, you know, I could share my stories. I was bullied at school. I've been through some things. I've been through bereavements. I've been through quite a lot of things, not loads of things in life, to be fair, but there's been a few major things. But I've always loved myself. I've always been someone that is like quite confident as a person. You know, even when the bullies at school were saying stuff to me, I'd be like, not laughing. It would still affect me, but I wouldn't take it on board. I wouldn't absorb it. Because I think you've got to work on that. It's daily. You know, you have to spend your time like filling yourself up with like self-love. But also, hi, I'm Happy Goose. Also, you have to get to that point where when there are people out there that are telling you that you're not good enough, when there are relationships, when you're being told you're not a good partner and all the rest of it, or when your family members might be telling you you're not good enough, friends might be telling you you don't care. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, to be honest, Happy Goose, I'll get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I do care. I can't say I don't care what people think, because I think when we make that blanket statement sometimes, oh, I don't care what the world thinks, I don't care what, there's maybe a part of us, like as human beings, we do care to a certain degree what our family think, we do care, but it doesn't mean that their opinions should rule your life. So the key thing is getting that balance between, you have to love yourself first, you have to care about your own needs, you have to be able to defend your position, you have to be able to, you know, stand out in the world and represent yourself, really. That's the main thing, because otherwise you're just gonna like, it's all right, I'm watching these, I'm reading these comments. I can't read the comments and do this at the same time, so I'll look at the comments after. So yeah, so really you can, I think it's a daily battle. There's always going to be someone or something that's going to maybe make you feel not good enough, but you just can't allow that to happen. You have to have like just high vibrations when it comes to yourself. I mean, yesterday is a good example. I went out yesterday. I was out, what I don't know what these things are coming on my screen. I was out and about, and I think because the weather was nice yesterday as well, it was the first like proper day of spring. No one had to put their coats on and things. Everyone was just in a different like mindset, really. It was just really nice because people were interacting with each other differently. That's how it felt to me. And I think you just have to kind of walk with your head held high. Like you have to believe in yourself. But don't like be, your validation has to come from within. You can't wait for external factors. You can't wait for other people to validate who you are, because if you do that for the rest of your life, then when that person takes their validation away, so if you're reliant on what your partner says to you to make you feel good, when your partner leaves or when they start saying things that don't make you feel good, then you're going to be in trouble. If you're only validated when your boss tells you you've done a good job, or if you get hired for a certain company, then what about when that doesn't happen? Then you're going to be sat there thinking, oh, that means I'm not doing a good job. It's just, you almost have to form a habit of telling yourself. That's where these self-love strategies come in. I don't even do affirmations. I don't need to do affirmations. I do recommend them. Thanks, Balgit. I do recommend affirmations to other people, but I don't even need to do them, because the affirmations that I'm listening to sometimes or I'm thinking about, they're already within me already. I already know that I'm good enough. I already know like certain things about myself. So if someone else was to say to me, oh, well, no, you're not all that, you know what I mean? I'd listen, but it would bounce off me. You need to just become that person that is really resilient, where like what other people think, if they think negative things about you, it bounces off you. You don't absorb it. We absorb too much negative things, and that's what leaves us feeling like depleted. That's what leaves us feeling not good enough, because it's just one after the other. It's like the media is saying stuff to you, social media, people are saying stuff to you, your friends might be saying like a bit a bit jealous or competitive with you. Your family might be telling you what they think you should be doing, expectations, your partner. There's too many people and too many things. So that's why like slowly people are being crushed down. But that's why like you have to work on these things. So all I would say is that the main thing is you can, you know, you don't have to always go to counselling for everything or to see a coach. It does help because you then explore these things. But you can start with yourself. You can start by just, you know, learning to distance yourself from some of the things which are causing you to feel the way that you do. You don't have to like be in conversations with people if it's just negative stuff. You don't have to believe everything you see on the news. You don't have to, you know, keep regurgitating stuff from the past if you know that that's having an impact on you. But to me, really, it just starts with the self-love and stuff. So thank you to everyone that joined on the live stream, and there are comments which I'll try and get back to these comments at some point, but I can't yet. I find it hard to like go through all the comments and like to be doing the live stream, but I do appreciate all of you for joining. Thank you, Fitness World, Baljeet, Happy Goose, everyone else that joined on this live stream, and anyone that then picks up on the replay. Feel free to sort of leave your comments. I'll also be going over to Facebook either now or a bit later to do the same live stream, and you can join me on there. I'll put in the comments as well where you can find me on TikTok and Instagram and my Facebook page. So have a good day, everyone. Thanks again for joining. Bye.